Thank you for viewing this innovation vlog brought to you by the Prosecutor Center for Excellence in Equitas. My name is Sophia Roach, and with us today is Wesley Bell, the elected prosecuting attorney for St. Louis County, Missouri, where he has served since 2019. Prior to his election, Prosecuting Attorney Bell served as a public defender, private practitioner, municipal judge, and city council member. His broad experience in the criminal justice system drives innovation, leading to his successful efforts in reforming police training practices and pay, and the development of better access to resources for resolving criminal issues, such as the Tappan Center that he is here to discuss with us today. So welcome. If you could tell us a little bit about your jurisdiction.
Thanks for having me, of course. So St. Louis County is the largest county in Missouri with approximately 1 million people, give or take. We have 88 municipalities and 55 police departments. So that's a whole nother story within itself. But that pretty much sums up the jurisdiction.
And tell me a little bit about your office, the approximate number of prosecutors and staff.
So we have about a total of 130, 135 actually. We've hired a few more folks recently, and about 66 attorneys. And then that 130 number also includes our support staff, investigators, and other non-attorneys.
All right. And talk to us a little bit about how your jurisdiction developed the idea for the Tappan Center, a little bit about community partnerships, that type of thing.
Well, it's been about collaboration with us. We recognize that if we're serious about public safety, then we have to work together. There's only so many things that prosecutors and law enforcement can do. We can incarcerate folks. We can be heavy on that punishment side, if you will, but there's so many other things that are needed if we're serious about public safety. And one of those ideas that stem from these discussions with our community partners was the Tappan Center. We have a lot of folks who have warrants, and because we have so many municipalities and not one database, sometimes people don't know where to go, or that they do have a warrant in some cases. And so we wanted to help facilitate giving people the opportunity to resolve these matters and get them taken care of, because not all of them are serious crimes. Obviously, if there's a serious murder or something to that effect, we're not going to just withdraw a warrant on something like that. But we have a lot of people with traffic matters and nonviolent misdemeanors, and we do want to give them an opportunity to get any warrants recalled and come in and resolve the matter.
So that said, tell us, how does the Tappan Center work, and how is it different than kind of the traditional process of paying for parking downtown, so to speak?
and more. Traditionally, you have to come to court. You have to have a judge sign off on a warrant being recalled, and that can be intimidating, and it can be time consuming, and you can be rolling the dice sometimes, right?
Right.
We would think that on something like a stop sign that a judge might withdraw it, but judges look at a lot of different considerations, and sometimes you can't guarantee that that'll happen, and so that can intimidate people, and the criminal justice system is already intimidating as is. And so the Tappan Centers, which are hosted by our community partners, St. Louis County Libraries, are less confrontational or non-confrontational ways for folks to go get their warrants recalled in a place that's not as intimidating as a courtroom, if you will. And so they're able to do those things afterward, because a lot of times people have to work during the day, and getting off and childcare can be a problem for them. And so they're able to go into on certain nights when we were hosting the Tappan Center and have those matters addressed. And so that's in partnership with not only the judges, not only the St. Louis County Library, who do amazing work. Kristen Sorth heads those efforts with the county library, but also the public defender's office, as well as our office.
Okay. And do you staff it with members of the court, the prosecuting attorney's office, and the public defender, or are there certain kind of key players at the library, and then further circumstances require others they're brought in?
That's a good question, because initially we did have someone that was stabbed in the building during tap-in. But what we realized is that can be intimidating. And so
Mhm.
now, based on conversations with our community partners and what we think is more effective, we have a prosecutor on call,
Okay.
as opposed to someone walking in and maybe being intimidated by a member of law enforcement. And so, yeah, we have someone that rotates in our office that's on call so they can answer any questions, make any calls from our end. And so that helps. That's helped a lot with a lot of people who may not feel as comfortable with someone there from the prosecutor's office or law enforcement.
And can you tell us, because this involves a lot of kind of government funded community partners, did it require additional funding, or are these things that were kind of able to be done within services that were already being provided?
Yeah, and that's the great thing. There hasn't been much, if any, additional costs. Obviously, the library is hosting, and our office, we have someone, we have attorneys who rotate and do our part from that end. The public defenders the same, and so this isn't costing any extra taxpayer dollars, but it is helping taxpayers. And so when I say this all the time. When I raised my right hand on January 1st, 2019, I didn't take an oath to incarcerate people and lock people up. I took an oath to serve justice, and justice looks different in some way, in some situations. And in a situation where someone is not a threat to the community, they're not at risk of harm or been charged with a serious crime, I think justice dictates that we help them resolve these matters so that they can get on with their life.
All right. And tell me, why do you think it's important for prosecutors to be innovative when looking for these types of solutions?
Well, we've seen the other side of the coin. We've seen what happens when the emphasis is just on tough on crime, if you will, and just locking people up and gathering incarceration rates. We've seen that it doesn't work. What we know is that when someone goes to jail, even for a low-level nonviolent offense, they are more likely to go back. And so if our priority is public safety, then we have to be serious about the ways that we get there, I should say. And what we know is that when we keep these low-level nonviolent offenders out, they're less likely to reoffend. And the data backs that up. We have aggressively expanded our diversion programming to keep people out of jail, alternatives to incarceration. And of the 1,700 people or so who have been involved in that program, evaluated, treated, or successfully treated, we're talking about a 10% recidivism rate, so 90% success rate. So, and we're not the only one. The data is clear. When you give people the tools they need, when you help facilitate them to be able to get these matters resolved, they commit less crimes. They're more successful. And so this wraps right into that line of thinking.
Has it changed any of the kind of community interactions that you've had when you're able to go out and talk about these kind of alternative methods of having people resolve cases and other programming that you're doing?
Absolutely. What we've seen is that there's a lot of distrust in the criminal justice system, and a lot of that is because of ignorance. People don't understand what we do. And what we've been trying to do is pull that curtain back a little bit. We've hosted our community case reviews, which are essentially monthly town halls at our office in a courtroom, where we invite members of the public to see exactly what we do and be able to ask questions in an intimate setting and we'll have a different theme every month. Last month October was Domestic Violence Awareness Month, so that was our theme. Sexual assaults, I should say, and that was our theme as well. And so we, just to help pull that curtain back so people understand what we're doing. So I have talked to many people who have communicated to me that they do feel better about what we're doing because they know what we're doing. They feel that we're going to shoot straight with them, and we're not just trying to lock folks up when they don't need to be or deserve to be. And so yeah, I think it's helped. I think it absolutely has helped. And we're going to continue with these types of programs. Now, I want to be clear. those who commit serious and violent offenses, that's a different bucket. That's a different ball game. Those individuals are going to be held accountable. If you're charged with some serious sexual assault or worse, or homicide or what have you, tap-in center is not for you. You're going to have to deal with the traditional court system, if you will. But there's a huge bucket of individuals who are charged with low-level nonviolent offenses, misdemeanors, and those are the folks that we want to help with these types of programs.
Well, and it's fair to say the Tap-in Center really provides kind of an alternate environment for people to resolve their cases. It doesn't make things magically disappear. It really just lets people deal with what they've got on their plate. Is that fair?
Absolutely. And again, there's some natural hurdles, legitimate hurdles that people have to deal with coming to court. Court is held during the day. And sometimes people have to work. And if you're working a couple of jobs and you have childcare, which is ridiculously expensive for a lot of people, it can be a hurdle to getting these things resolved when you have to make a decision between coming to court or missing a shift at work and being able to pay the bills. And so having a non-confrontational place where you can go in the evening, and ask questions at the very least. We've seen people who have benefited from this. And matter of fact, there was an interview on St. Louis Public Radio where an individual talked about exactly your question and said that, hey, the fact that I was able to come in helped me get things taken care of that I otherwise likely wouldn't been able to without seeing the inside of a jail cell.
Well, any other lessons learned from this? Any takeaways or other things you might suggest to others that are considering this?
I think just that we have to continue to look outside the box from traditional prosecution, lock them up, because we know for a lot of folks, not all, but for a lot of folks, that doesn't work, and that doesn't, and it doesn't push that idea of public safety when we are sending people to jail who don't need to be, and the data clearly shows that they're more likely to go back when you do. And so what we know is that when you give people the tools in the toolbox to succeed, they do. And so we're going to continue to do those with our Diversion Advisory Committee and our partners, including the St. Louis County Library, Affinia, and the Urban League, and so many others. And we're going to continue to do those things and do everything that we can to help folks and keep people safe. And I think all of these things are pushing us in that public safety direction, if you will.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you sharing this innovation, and we want to thank our viewers. If you would like to share an innovation, please contact PCE directly at contactpce@pceinc.org. Thank you.
Thank you.